Howdy ho, my friend. Welcome to the channel. You ready
Oh,
to...
yes.
Hello.
I'm back in the manual mode, so I'm just like getting over the change, the pivot.
The up and down. Yes. Okay. Well, welcome to the channel. It is September 12th, and today our topic is be down to earth or be brought down. It begins with a quote by Diogenes. Zeno always said that nothing was more unbecoming than putting on airs, especially with the young. Than putting on airs. So, like, pretending to be, like, very important, high status, having all the answers, kind of being above, kind of like being above, like, the shitstorm of life that everybody else gets, but, like, you would be behaving like, no, I always succeed, I never fail. Like, life never brings me down.
That's special good. Is this also applying to special for me?
I don't know.
Maybe.
When he says putting on airs, I think about like somebody who's being conceited.
Bettering themselves than they are. Like fake it till you make it type of a thing.
Yeah. And then he's saying especially with the young, probably because the young go at it a lot harder, because anybody who lives another day has been potentially injured by life on that day that they lived. And so if you're a younger person, you might, when you put on airs, you might go pedal to the metal with it because you haven't lived all of those days that life humbles you and life brings you down to remind you that, like, in fact, you are not who you think you are as much as you think that you are that. And so an older person might still put on airs, but it might be baked in with a little bit more humility because you just can't escape it. Life is out to kill us. Life is out to kill us, ultimately. And it will succeed at that. And I don't mean to say that in like a doom and gloom way or like a way where it's like, oh, now I need to be depressed. That's actually like a very helpful like frame of mind for me. Although I could see where like somebody else might be like, that's horrifying, don't say that. Yeah.
It's coming.
It's Jaws.
It's coming to get you. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If that helps to look at it that way, I get it. Like if that makes it to fires some firecracker behind your booty to go get moving or something, right? Like that could be useful to like get up and go.
Well, it helps me not feel so sorry for myself because that is the type of special that I lean towards. Not like I'm more important, but I don't know how it comes off to other people. Maybe it comes off, like in either way. But my thing is like feeling sorry for myself. And so if I can wake up in the morning and remind myself that like, well, life, like this is just like what the game is. Like these are the rules of the game. It helps me accept it because otherwise I end up feeling like this bad thing shouldn't have happened to me. And then that will just screw with my head for...
Yeah, I'm the same way on that one, yeah, for sure. Like things that happened to me. Right? And then like, oh, they happened to me. I lived through that. Oh, it was so hard to live through all that. Creates all these memories and all these grooves in the brain and stuff for them to like recall it. Every time that I want to do something that's similar, it's like those grooves are like, hey, don't you remember how
it turned out before?
Yeah, don't you know how to turn out? Don't you even think about doing something similar? Yeah. Even though it was the right thing to do, and it was okay to fail and try again, ultimately, right? But it wants to scare you.
And this is where you might find yourself saying things like, "Oh, I already tried that 3 times and it didn't work, so it just doesn't work."
Yeah.
And it's It's like that doesn't make sense. That
Right,
logic does not make sense.
No. I mean, just the first. I'm like, is this a fairy tale? Because right, is this like 3 little nuts and 3 little pigs and 3 little go over the 3 mountains? Like, is this a fairy tale? We tried it 3 times, it didn't work, so then we're done. Like, okay, fairy tale didn't work. like, how about 6th time? How about the 9th time? Like, how about now? Like, is it working now after the 9th time? Like, who says 3? Why 3? Why are we picking 3 in real life situations? Completely obnoxious and totally just
yeah. I was just giving an example.
No. I know, but I'm not saying this to you. I'm also saying we are all like that. I say the 3. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I've heard 3 many times at work. I hear we've tried this thing 3 times
I know,
already.
that's why I brought it up.
Sure. So I hear these things all over the place, right? So that's why I'm kind of like, that's so obnoxious that what's up with this 3? Like,
I don't know. I haven't noticed it as like a trend, but
I have for sure. Yeah, very very folky. Like, yeah, it's like the 3 things.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ryan, you wanna look at Ryan? What's up?
Let's do it.
What's up over there, Ryan?
Okie dokie. Ryan
I wrote a
says.
novel over there about this one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of names in this one again, so bear with me. Isocrates' famous letter to Demonicus, which later became the inspiration for Polonius's "To thine own self be true" speech, holds a similar warning to Zeno. Writing to the young man, Isocrates, we're going to go with Isocrates. Isocrates advises, "Be affable in your relations with those who approach you, and never haughty, for the pride of the arrogant even slaves can hardly endure." One of the most common tropes in art, from ancient literature to popular movies, is the brash and overconfident young man who has to be taken down a peg by an older, wiser man. It's a cliche because it's a fact of life. People tend to get ahead of themselves, thinking they've got it all figured out and are better than those that don't. It becomes so unpleasant to put up with that someone has to drop some knowledge on them. But this is an entirely avoidable confrontation. If the bubble is never inflated, it won't need to be popped. Overconfidence is a great weakness and a liability. But if you are already humble, no one will need to humble you, and the world is much less likely to have nasty surprises in store for you. If you stay down to earth, no one will need to bring you, oftentimes crushingly so, back down.
It's so much better down there. It feels so much better down there, dude, than trying to like pretend something is that really isn't, just because you want it to be that way, so you start acting like it is that way, but it is not that way, right? And it's like, those are the horses you're gonna get knocked out of it ultimately, right? And then it's like, well, why don't I want to be here? Why don't I want to be here where I'm at already, right? That's also the gratitude, right? Like, why am I not don't have appreciation for where I'm already? Why do I have to have this more wanting to go someplace? Like, you know what I mean? It's and ultimately here down humble is actually so liberating. That is actually where you like their happiness actually lies in the, well, I actually don't know, guys, but I'm also here, so we can figure this out together, or maybe we'll never figure it out. It's okay, right? It's not about, that feels so much better than saying I know what to do, right? Like, it's so silly to think that we could possibly know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't think like this for a long time. This is, for a long time I've been thinking all kinds of other ways, right? That didn't have the humble a part in it. They were more about, they were about like, what do I want now? Why is this not coming already? It's so there. I definitely there's definitely a pivot, but again, it's hard to say when that happened. But I definitely not just see it that way or talk about it that way, but actually like do those things when they're in front of me, right? I specifically try to go like, oh no, I don't know that. It's like I wanna give it the benefit of the doubt that I actually don't know anything about it. Right? Keep learning. Cool. Anything else? Be good? All right.
Alrighty, my friend. Thank you for tuning in today, as always. And leave us a comment. Tell us what's going on with you. We will see you here tomorrow.